like the Titus philosophy memes and social good. This is from like Andreas and I. We run like a Facebook page called Trolley Problem Memes. It's like relatively popular. Next slide, I think. Yeah, so this is the introduction. So like, yeah, first intro, and then we discuss like what makes good or great public philosophy memes. And this is an ontology that we completely created, like, you know, out of analysis, so, you know, like take it very seriously. And then we'll discuss the Trolley Problem Memes fundraiser, which, like, you know, we will try to raise money for like the Gas Malaria Foundation, and like how that went well or didn't go well. And then like we're going to talk about reasons against memes as public philosophy, but I think again I already covered a lot of that, so we'll just kind of like skip over that, and then like potential ideas for future work. All right. Raise of hand. Raise of hands. Who has like heard of the trolley problem before? Okay.
Has or hasn't?
Alright, cool. This is good because I did not actually prepare any notes to explain what they are. Just assume. Alright, what are trolley problem memes? I mean, first there are memes about a trolley problem. That's why I want to describe it. Secondly, it's also a Facebook page. It was originally created by Alosha Tupak and Harris Zink, who are two undergrad philosophy majors in Slovenia. It quickly grew in popularity and now has like 250,000 people. Harris stepped down from the project not long after it started, and then I joined soon afterwards, and then Andreas and Sis came along, which is the four of us, or three of us, and then Alosha couldn't make it because, you know, Slovenia is far away. Sad. Very sad. Yeah, so why trolley problems? I think there's a sense in which like trolley problems are among the most, if not the most, like well-known like thought experiment in philosophy, and there's a lot of variations of them. So in a sense, like why should you use trolley problems as public philosophy is kind of like an argument for like why should we use like weird hypotheticals in general. And I think like one of my favorite philosophers, like Derek Parfit, like wrote this like very short defense of like why like you should use like his specific example is like science fiction-y thought experiments in the context of personal identity. Which you could read here, but I think it's like you could generalize it to like pretty much all thought experiments to a large degree, and most of the claims here hold true. It's less, to some degree, it's less about like discovering like empirical truth about the world or like objective morality or whatever, but more about like a sort of internal process of like using these thought experiments to figure out what we believe and to have like clear conception of what we personally understand. All right. Yeah, categorization of interesting trolley problem means. Going to discuss what we think are good means, what good public philosophy means, and what great public philosophy means. Again, very, very good ontology that we just created. So what makes a good meme? So you should follow the basic meme format as Ian puts it. So I think like that has like two like I think of the meme like an internet image macro as like a subset of documents. Obviously not everybody necessarily agrees, but I think of it that way. Should be good in the way we usually regard internet memes. So for us, it's kind of like popular, or at least has the potential of being popular. Ways to achieve popularity, you know, we could incorporate trendy memes or like other like pop culture things that everybody are familiar with, so they get kind of a general joke. And they frequently lack deep insight, as Seth puts it. The technical term here is shitpost. Yeah, what makes a good meme? So Andreas created this one. It's like 30 to 50, like for hogs was like a very popular meme like a few months ago, I think. It's like, and like we created a trolley version, which this had. Facebook uses this thing called reactions, comments, and shares for pages, which is just a combination of our forms of engagement, which they really like, and like we get nice insightful dashboards, and yeah, and this is like really popular for us.
Yeah, this one got 2.37 thousand reactions, comments, and shares in total, and reached 378,000 people. And I just want to note that the page only has 250,000 followers, so that's about 1.5 times as many people as we have followers. And it is instrumentally useful to have memes like this because when we get that high visibility boost, that's when we get more followers for the page as well, and then they start seeing the more philosophical memes.
Yeah, well, thank you, Andreas, for making this one. Yeah, other high reach memes. Yeah, I feel like the first one is kind of a philosophy meme. And then this is like what we think of as good public philosophy memes, like what are the core things we need. And like, so yeah, like we wanted to like summarize the core concept in like an accessible way without leaving out important details. Yeah, I feel like it's fairly self-explanatory. So yeah, this is the ship of Theseus trolley problem, which I think was created by a fan.
Yeah, it's from the early days of the page. I don't know who created it either. This one I made recently, trying to create a trolley problem version of Mary's Room, thought experiment. You're all familiar with Mary's Room?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a good example of shoehorning a concept into the trolley meme that at first glance does not seem to mesh well with it. Like there's no quandary or decision to be made in Mary's Room, but we do have the unique experience of being run over by a trolley. So here we have Mary studying nociception and psychology, trying to imagine what it is like to be run over by a trolley. And I just want to note, this meme got about 2.3 thousand reactions, and comments and shares, and reached about 81,000 people. And that's about the best we can hope for the more philosophical memes.
Yeah, so like there's some ideal designer out there as well that, you know, like not strictly necessary, but are really good. But having like a good philosophy meme, like, you know, they should be memorable. Like ideally, like remember the concept actually is kind of like a way for people to form like concept handles on the topic, so that it's easier to remember the meme than like, you know, a long page of text or like some more abstract thing. And yeah, like so sometimes message us and tell us how memes help them pass philosophy exams. So I'm always very happy when it happens. It makes people excited to learn more about, well, like ethical position or other like position in philosophy. We started off mostly being focused on ethics. Obviously, various things are like one of the many exceptions now. And we try to link in whenever possible. We try to link in-depth explanations, either like SCP, Central Encyclopedia of Philosophy, or other like, you know, something that's like a bit more accessible than just like linking the paper, but like not, like, you know, like but a lot more detailed than like, you know, image macro. And like which as like Yan points out, like the enlightenment discussion is really good. Like if like we try to like people comment a lot on pages and we try to respond sometimes, and other people with like heavy philosophy backgrounds like sometimes comment as well. And it's really cool to have like this engaging discussion between like people who, you know, have barely heard of the trolley problem and people who, you know, have like, you know, like tenure professors or have like several years of like, you know.
Yeah, and then the comments section sort of becomes a high visibility forum for doing public philosophy.
Yeah. So why I think of it as a great public philosophy meme? It has it got all the qualities that are out there of a good public philosophy meme and some ideal ones. But like furthermore, like the meme format actually adds to the discussion in a way that like actually like it's better than just a textual representation, not just because it's like summarizes it well, but like incites more people to read it, but like uncovers additional details. So like so I think a good example is like Alosha made this in the early days of the program, I think within the first month or two after the page's creation. I think it's just a really good example. So this is the real ignorance trolley problem. And so I think it's good for several reasons. One, I think it makes it very clear what like Ross meant by like this original position thing. Like, you know, like imagine like you don't know where you end up in society, but like you know, you have to make a choice anyway of like what society you want to be in. But at the same time, like I think I and a lot of people have like this intuitive conception of Ross as like he immediately jumps to like kind of the maximum principle, which is like you must maximize welfare of the least well off. And I feel like this is not super obvious / like quite counterintuitive, I think, from the original position, because you can imagine like if you imagine like you could say something like, imagine two worlds, right? Like one where like everybody's like super happy all the time except for one person who's, a bit miserable, like, one day out of 7. And then like another world where like everybody's super mad all the time. And like by like the maximum principle, you prefer the first world. And like you could say things like that. And I think like you could kind of get this idea across, but I think this gets it across like much more easily. Like that, like to some degree, right? Like the natural thing to do is like if you don't know where you'll be at, like you want to maximize like some form of expected value, or like something maybe a bit weaker, but it's like, I think it's very hard to look at this and think that like the level shouldn't be pulled, basically, like from a selfish perspective. So that was really interesting. Yep. Summary so far. Yeah, and then we had, I guess, Malaria Foundation fundraiser. Yeah, so the background for this is something that like Alosha wanted me to come along after Harris left, and like I was already like commenting and did a couple of other things. But like to sell this to me, he suggested like maybe I could like try to like fundraise for like things I care about. For, like I was in AMP pretty well the affected altruism movement. And like yeah, so I thought it was pretty. So we discussed this and we thought like we'd try to do like a fundraiser for the Against Malaria Foundation, which is like a relatively uncontroversial global health charity that's like determined by GiveOne and the EA movement to balance high burden evidence with relatively high expected value. There's a bunch of caveats about this, which like people within EA care a lot about, but like don't want to go that much into the details. Yeah, we launched on World Malaria Day, and this is the company name. Yeah, it was like really popular in some sense. Like the page was like, the meme itself had like 3,000 likes, which is really high for which is not a high end of things that doesn't go viral. Like a lot of people obviously like really like this idea, like additionally push for it beyond like just like how good, like how interesting it is, and also like a lot of other popular Facebook meme pages shared it, like including like this like theoretical physics meme page, which I like quite a bit. So yeah, they wrote something nice about us. Yeah, so consequence, I think, like it raised like about $3,400, which is pretty reasonable for an online fundraiser. It's like roughly enough to deliver like somewhere between 750 and 1,400 bed nets, which depends a bit on like how you do the number crunching, roughly speaking. Like I think by Malaria Foundation's own estimates is like 250 for like per bed net. GiveOne, which is one of the charities that evaluate them, thinks it's more closer to like 450 because they account for like volunteer time and other things that like AMF does not directly account for. Cool. Exciting technology. Yeah. So but like obviously like we can always do better. So what kind of made it better? I think the biggest is like we didn't get like institutional support, or like we didn't try to get anybody departments to really help us push for this, and was kind of trying to do this like mass internet thing. And we tried to like marry kind of like this outreach program, was explaining what like malaria is and how like what Against Malaria Foundation do with the fundraising program. I think like among like people who are like professional fundraisers for like nonprofit work and stuff, it's like generally considered it's probably much more reasonable to focus fundraising on people who already know kind of the general message and just need that additional push. Sure. And in general, I've got a schedule like light touch fundraising is a possible way to generate substantial amounts of money. Reasons against using memes is public philosophy, opportunity cost. So like when your time where like I could be spent elsewhere. Prestige, like it's not as prestigious to do memes. I personally don't think that's a big deal. Got us enough prestige for us to be invited to. Yeah. I mean, so
you came to the very prestigious Public Philosophy Network conference.
Yeah. One question that I think Dan covered, but like the more like the abstract version, this means asymmetric weapons for truth. Like example, of asymmetric weapon is like the scientific method or Wikipedia, where it's like much easier to use those things to convey truthful messages than it is to like discover false things. And like I think it's like an open question whether memes are asymmetrically good for truth. You can imagine I think the default position is something where it's like pretty neutral, it's symmetric, in which case, kind of dubious whether you should do it. And like, maybe worse, it could be like asymmetrically against truth because like, like a lot of the reasons Ian mentioned. Okay, keep going. Yeah, just skip this part. Future work that I'll be really excited about. Yeah, like one, more people making like good or great philosophy memes to bring philosophical ideas about accessibility. So this depends on level of commitment. So like at the simplest level, it's like things we do at this workshop. You guys will make some memes at the end of this workshop, and like maybe like if you guys teach anything, like you could like for TA class, you could add those memes. You could like at the medium level, like you could try to start your own meme group or meme page and see how well that goes. At the high end, like one project that we wanted to do, but like we kind of gave up on because of kind of high commitment, it's like we wanted to create like an intro to philosophy book through memes. And yeah, like people get really excited about memes eventually, hopefully 5 years down the road, somebody will do it. Happy to talk to you further. Second thing, study of literary memes is a method of social contagion and media flow. So I think that's the idea of like studying cultural transmission through this context, which I think would be really cool. And like deep dives into asymmetric questions, whether one, like the question of whether or not memes are asymmetric, either for or against truth in general is useful, but also like other specific portrayals for like formats that are like asymmetrically good for delivering truthful information or for like delivering positive messages. That would be interesting.